Health savings accounts, or HSAs, are a great way to save money for future healthcare expenses. But did you know that an HSA's unique tax structure makes it a powerful investment vehicle for building wealth? Today, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know about the HSA account. Hello everyone, welcome to Vigilant MD. According to a recent CNBC article, Americans spent an average of $5,000 per person on healthcare in 2018. This is twice as much as the average American had spent in 1984. Interestingly, this increase in costs was primarily driven by the astounding increase in insurance premiums, which has skyrocketed by 740% since 1984 to $3,400 per person in 2018. Unless there are drastic changes to our healthcare policies in the near future, I think it's pretty safe to say that healthcare costs will continue to rise over time. This is where the HSA account can help. HSA accounts were introduced in 2003 to help encourage people to save money on their own for their qualified medical expenses. So, let's break down how an HSA account works. Number one, HSA accounts are always paired with a high deductible plan. Number two, that high deductible plan, which doesn't give you as good of a coverage, is then supplemented with your own special savings account called an HSA. So you may be asking,
why on earth would I want a healthcare plan that gives me less coverage?
The idea is that some people just don't need to consume as much healthcare as others because they are healthy. When people are healthy, spending tons of money on high premiums to cover very little healthcare use for years is not very economical. For example, when I was a resident, I paid for the most expensive plan that my employer offered for 4 years because that's what I thought I should do. During that time, I went to the doctor no more than once or twice a year for routine checkups. At the end of my residency training, it's not like I received a trophy for paying for the high premiums for 4 years. That money was just, poof, gone. I couldn't help but think that I could have used that money a little bit better. If I had opted for the high deductible plan, my routine checkups would have still been covered 100% just the same, and I would have spent significantly less money on premiums and saved several $1,000s potentially in my HSA account for the future medical expenses when I actually needed it. I really like the idea that I don't have to depend completely on the insurance company's coverage for my healthcare needs, and that I have a pathway to save up for future medical expenses on my own. Third, the HSA account usually comes with a convenient debit card that you can use to spend on qualified medical expenses at any time. There are no age restrictions when spending your HSA money. You could contribute this month and turn around and spend it next month if you'd like. So, what are qualified medical expenses for an HSA? For a complete list of qualified expenses, visit the link in the description below, but here are some examples.
Birth control, blood sugar test kits, insulin, acupuncture, physical therapy, contact lenses, prescription eyeglasses, dental treatments, prescription drugs, and even common over-the-counter drugs, as long as you have a doctor's prescription. Fertility enhancement, including in vitro fertilization, laser eye surgery, orthodontics, wheelchairs, crutches, and etc.
So, pretty comprehensive actually if you ask me. Fourth, many employers will contribute free money into your account to encourage you to save in your HSA. This can range usually from $500 to $2,000 a year. Fifth, the cash that you save into an HSA account does not have to be used by the end of the year. This is in direct contrast to an FSA where you will lose all your contributions if you do not use it by the end of the year. Sixth, you can keep your savings in an HSA as cash, or you may invest it into the market with special tax advantages. Seventh, the balance in your HSA account is yours to keep, even if you leave your current employer. Now, here is the juicy part. Let's talk about the tax structure of an HSA account. Number one, contributions into an HSA are with pre-tax money. Number two, if you invest your savings, the growth or earnings are tax-free. Number three, if you spend the money on qualified medical expenses, your distributions or healthcare spending are also tax-free. That's right, the HSA account is triple tax advantage. No taxes on money in, no taxes on growth, no taxes on healthcare spending. Try to name another account that can do this for you. Go ahead. I can't hear you. I still can't. Exactly. There isn't one. There is one thing that you should watch out for. If you spend your HSA money on non-qualified expenses, you will have to pay income taxes and then a steep 20% penalty. Now, after you turn 65 years old, the 20% penalty will go away, but non-qualified expenses will still incur income taxes. So, during your retirement, if you are so rich that you want to spend your HSA money on non-healthcare expenses, you can just pay some income taxes and use the money to buy a car with it. I wouldn't, but you do you. So, what are the contribution limits for 2021? For single filers, the limit is $3,600. And for families that are married and filing jointly, the limit is $7,200. If you are above the age of 55, a catch-up contribution of $1,000 a year is allowed in addition to the before-mentioned limits. Now remember, these limits include the employer's contribution. Now, let's say you decided to use an HSA account and invest. Let me walk you through setting an HSA account up. There are three main stages to the setup. Number one, the open enrollment period. If you are not using an HSA account currently, you will unfortunately have to wait until your next open enrollment period from your employer. During open enrollment, once you select the HSA plan, you will be asked to input the dollar amount you want to contribute into your HSA with each paycheck. Obviously, you have to decide how much you want to contribute each year, but let me walk you through an example. Let's assume that Sally is married and she wants to max out her annual contributions and she gets paid bi-weekly. First, Sally needs to find out how much her employer will contribute into her HSA a year. Let's say she finds out from HR that that's $1,500 a year. For Sally, who is married and filing her taxes jointly, the annual max contribution limit is $7,200 and her employer will contribute $1,500. That means she needs to contribute $5,700 a year over 26 paychecks. Now simply divide $5,700 by 26 and you will get $219 per paycheck. Number two, HSA account setup. So a few weeks after open enrollment, when you receive your HSA account's information in the mail, it'll come in a packet that likely includes your debit card. Go to that HSA provider's website and create a username and password. Once you are logged in, you will find a button that says something like Manage My Investments. Once you are in there, you need to find out what your HSA provider's minimum investment threshold is. Some providers allow you to invest, but will charge you a monthly fee for this if you have a cash balance below that minimum threshold. I don't like paying stupid fees because I'm not paying attention. So don't let this happen. Step 3, set up your investments. Under the Manage My Investments section, you'll be able to select which investments you want your HSA money to buy. Make your selections as you please and then hit Save. These changes should take effect over your next 1 or 2 paychecks. Next, you need to decide what your investment transfer threshold will be. This is the amount of cash that you want to keep in your HSA. You can then turn on what we call an automatic transfer or auto sweep, which tells the account to automatically invest contributions that are put into the account above that threshold number. So, as an example, let's say your HSA provider has a minimum threshold of $2,000 and you set your threshold to $4,000. This allows you to have a cushion if you need to use a few $100s in cash from your HSA account for medical expenses and still not dip below the minimum threshold, and that helps you avoid being charged a monthly fee for your investments. When you keep contributing money and your cash balance grows above $4,000, any future contributions can be automatically swept into investments that you have chosen. So, what are the common mistakes that I see people making when using an HSA? Number 1, selecting an HSA plan but not actually contributing to the account. This is the worst case scenario. So you have left yourself vulnerable to an insurance plan that gives you less coverage and you are not saving yourself. So when medical expenses happen, you're not going to be prepared. Number 2, using HSA money on non-qualified expenses. All the tax advantages of the HSA account will be lost completely if you are paying taxes and a 20% penalty on your savings. Number 3, keeping the entire HSA balance in cash for years. I know your contributions are tax-free, but by keeping your contributions as cash, you are missing out on the opportunity to let that money grow tax-free for years with compound interest. Number 4, being charged a monthly fee for investing due to dipping below minimum thresholds. Know what your provider's minimum threshold is, and maybe consider setting your threshold to a number a little above that to avoid this issue. Number 5, not keeping receipts. When you are paying for your qualified medical expenses, there are no requirements to submit receipts to your actual HSA provider. However, if you were to get audited by the IRS for any reason in the future, and they want to examine your qualified medical expenses, you will need to provide receipts. Just like anything else, the IRS may audit up to 7 years of information, so keep those healthcare receipts. Number 6, not realizing that only the cash in your HSA account can be used with your debit card. As an example, if you have $1,000 in cash and $4,000 in investments, and swipe your debit card for $1,500 transaction, your card will be declined. If you need more cash in your account, you have to actually sell your investments to make them available as cash first before you can swipe your debit card. Converting an investment to cash is easy, but it may take 2 to 3 business days for that investment money to become available as cash. In summary, HSA accounts are a triple tax advantage and provide a powerful pathway for building wealth and preparing for your future medical expenses. You're gonna need it. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, please smash that like button and subscribe to my channel for helpful personal finance videos. Also, people have been asking me what gear I use for my YouTube videos, and I have included links in the description below, so check them out. I'll see you guys next time.